You walk down the brightly lit aisle of a modern supermarket. The shelves are packed with thousands of calories wrapped in colorful plastic. You grab a loaf of soft bread and toss it into your cart. You do not even think about it. But for almost all of human history, that aisle did not exist. There were no barcodes. There were no plastic wrappers. There were no guarantees of a next meal. When your stomach grumbled, you had to step into a wild, unforgiving world and find calories before they found you. What did your ancestors actually put in their mouths to survive? The picture in your head is probably a group of muscular hunters taking down a massive mammoth with spears. You imagine a diet consisting entirely of raw, bloody meat. That is the popular myth. But the real answer is far stranger. It changes everything you think you know about your own body. Are you ready to see what is really on the prehistoric menu? The modern world is obsessed with the idea of the paleo diet. You are told that to be healthy, you must eat exactly like a caveman. You are sold the image of a prehistoric world where everyone ate massive steaks every single day. This is a comforting illusion. It sells a lot of diet books. But the fossil record tells a very different story. Your ancestors were not the apex carnivores you see in the movies. They were opportunistic survivors. They were scavengers. They were foragers. They ate whatever they could get their hands on. Most of the time, that was not fresh meat. Meat was extremely dangerous to get. Meat ran away. Meat fought back with horns and claws. Plants, on the other hand, stayed perfectly still. For decades, archaeologists focused entirely on the animal bones found at ancient campsites. Bones fossilize incredibly well. Bones survive in the dirt for millions of years. Plants rot away into nothing. This created a massive blind spot in human history. It made it look like ancient humans only ate animals. But recently, science found a way to look closer. Researcher Amanda Henry decided to look at the microscopic evidence left behind in the mouths of ancient humans. She examined the dental plaque fossilized on the teeth of Neanderthals. What did she find trapped in that ancient tartar? It was not just meat. It was the microscopic remains of dates, barley, and legumes. It was evidence of water lilies and wild grasses. Your ancestors were eating a massive variety of plant matter. They were eating complex carbohydrates long before farming was ever invented. They were consuming starchy underground tubers that looked like modern potatoes. What else were they eating? It was not glamorous. They ate insects. They ate grubs dug out of rotting logs. Insects are incredibly dense in protein and fat. Many ancient human populations relied heavily on bugs to survive lean times. They also ate things that would make a modern human incredibly sick. Before they hunted large game, they were scavengers. They would wait for a saber-toothed cat to kill a large animal and eat its fill. Then, your ancestors would sneak in to take the leftovers. But the big predators usually ate all the good meat. What was left? Brains and bone marrow. Your ancestors used heavy rocks to smash open the skulls and massive leg bones of dead animals. The marrow inside was essentially pure, calorie-dense fat. It was prehistoric junk food. It was exactly what their growing brains desperately needed. They also ate fermented foods. Without refrigeration, meat and fruit would quickly begin to rot. Ancient humans did not throw it away. They developed a tolerance for slightly decayed food. Modern research into the human microbiome shows that our gut bacteria are highly adapted to process fermented foods. This is why you still enjoy yogurt, cheese, and fermented drinks today. Your stomach is a living museum of ancient survival strategies. Why does this matter to you today? It matters because your brain is a calorie-devouring monster. Right now, as you sit there, your brain is burning a quarter of all the energy your body uses. It is an incredibly expensive organ to run. Raw plants and raw meat take immense amounts of energy to digest. If you tried to survive on a diet of completely raw, wild food today, you would have to spend up to 9 hours a day just chewing. You would be chewing constantly from sunrise to sunset. You would never have time to build tools or invent language. Your jaw muscles would have to be massive. Your stomach would have to be enormous. So how did your ancestors afford to grow such massive, powerful brains? The answer is not just what they ate, but what they did to it first. They learned to control a terrifying force of nature. They tamed fire. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham proposed a groundbreaking theory called the cooking hypothesis. He realized that dropping food into a fire changes it on a microscopic molecular level. Heat breaks down tough plant fibers. Heat unravels tight animal proteins. Cooking essentially pre-digests your food outside of your body. It unlocks a massive treasure trove of hidden calories. When your ancestors started roasting tubers and searing meat, they changed the course of human evolution. Their jaws shrank because they no longer needed to crush tough roots. Their digestive tracts got shorter because the food was easier to process. Their brains exploded in size using all those extra free calories. You are not just a human. You are a cooked food eater. Your body is biologically dependent on cooked food to survive. Have you ever wondered why the smell of a campfire or a barbecue makes your mouth water so instantly? That physiological reaction is an ancient survival mechanism hardwired into your nervous system. Your brain is rewarding you for finding easy, dense calories. It is a biological high five for finding cooked food. But there is another twist to the story of the ancient diet. You might think that because your ancestors were constantly hunting and gathering, they were burning thousands of more calories than you do today. You picture them running across the savannah, exhausting themselves every single day. You assume your modern, desk-bound life is fundamentally broken compared to theirs. Evolutionary anthropologist Dr. Herman Poncer wanted to test this exact assumption. He spent months living with the Hadza people in northern Tanzania. The Hadza are one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer populations on the planet. They live in the same harsh environment and use the same basic methods to find food as your ancient ancestors did. Poncer measured exactly how many calories the Hadza burned every single day using advanced chemical tracking in their drinking water. The results completely shocked the scientific community. Despite walking miles every day, climbing huge baobab trees to find honey, and digging deep into the rocky soil for tubers, the Hadza do not burn more calories than an average modern person sitting in an office. How is this physically possible? Your body is an absolute master of energy efficiency. When you increase your physical activity, your body simply steals energy away from other unseen processes. It dials down your immune system. It reduces inflammation. It lowers your stress hormones. It does everything possible to keep your daily calorie burn locked in a very specific place. Your metabolism is completely static. Your ancient ancestors were not burning vast amounts of energy. They were just scraping by. They were conserving every single calorie they could find in a world that wanted them dead. This means you cannot simply outrun a bad diet. If you spend an hour on the treadmill, your body will subconsciously make you sit still longer for the rest of the day to make up the difference. Your brain will dial down your background cellular activity. It will do whatever it takes to protect your calorie reserves. For your ancestors, this was a superpower. It meant they could travel long distances to find food without starving to death in the process. Their bodies were incredibly stingy with energy. Today, that same superpower is what makes it so incredibly difficult to lose weight. Your body thinks it is helping you survive a famine. It is actively fighting against your attempts to shed fat. What does this mean for your modern life? It means you are carrying an ancient survival machine into a modern world of extreme abundance. For millions of years, your ancestors evolved in an environment where calories were incredibly scarce. Every sweet berry was a rare prize. Every fatty piece of bone marrow was a triumph. Your ancestors would crack open the bones of dead animals left behind by lions just to scrape out the fat inside. Your brain evolved to crave sugar, fat, and salt because they were almost impossible to find in the wild. When you found them, you ate as much as you possibly could without stopping. That was the only way to survive the coming winter. That was the only way to endure the next drought or famine. Fast forward to today. You live in a world where famine has been replaced by the drive-through window. The scarcity is gone, but your ancient cravings remain exactly the same. Your brain is still operating on a million-year-old software program. It is trying to save you from a starvation that is never going to come. Every time you crave a massive, sugary donut, that is just your inner caveman trying to keep you alive. You are not weak. You do not lack willpower. You are just a highly successful survivor navigating an alien landscape. You are a creature built for scarcity, drowning in an ocean of excess. The next time you walk down the brightly lit aisle of a modern supermarket, look at the shelves packed with food wrapped in plastic. Look at the endless rows of guaranteed calories. You grab a loaf of soft bread and toss it into your cart. You do not even think about it.